Good morning, students. Welcome to Human Resource Communication. Today we are going to discuss our last lecture on this course. It's a bit different one. It's about a case studies and management of uh, recurring problems in the literature. So this lecture discuss based on a fictional case study managing a merger between two different companies. It describes a period in the life of a public relation organization. We are discussing of two PR organizations actually. So as a PR, a communication consultant we are hired for a particular PR organization, Image Inc. The name of that organization is Image Inc., which we are hired as a consultant. When the members are negotiating a possible merger, the members of this organization, Images Inc., think of negotiating a possible merger with a larger public relation organization, Arab PR. So that is what we are going to discuss. A case study of merging of two public relation organizations, and we act as a consultant of one of that. Here it is Image Inc. And the events presented happen over 11 weeks of that discussions and negotiations. So before starting this lecture, you have to go through the case study which is provided in the resource folder. So that case study is available in the resource folder of this week study materials. Go through that course resource folder, which clearly explains that 11 weeks negotiations. And in this lecture, this presentation, we go through the solutions and the problems what they are facing, what they are going through these 11 weeks, and what are the solutions provided you as a PR consultant, as a communication consultants, the solutions you provided for these issues. That is what we are going to discuss throughout this lecture. So this case study actually covers many of the key issues that you as a communication practitioner will encounter when working in practice. And it allows us to integrate, to learn what we have discussed throughout the semester, throughout the 13 lectures, and apply it to a real world situation. So when we go through these 11 weeks of these merging negotiations, we will go through the content what we have studied throughout the 13 weeks. So as I told you, it is a week by week analysis of the case study, merging between two different companies from the same industry to PR based PR companies. Here in this case study, you are asked to act as an external consultant, a communication consultant, to advise the managing director of one of these merging company, the Images Inc., on developing and managing communication strategies during this. So as a communication consultant, our task is to identify and communicate Image Inc.'s goals for the proposed merger and develop and implement plans to achieve those goals. So here, with regards to the merging, the discussion, the negotiations will going through 11 weeks. And here, as a consultant, you are involved with the members of the organization on a daily basis. So we will go through the different problems, issues arise during this 11 weeks negotiations, and as an expert we have to provide the solutions for that. So this lecture primarily focused on what will be such kind of issues arise and what will be the proposed solutions for that issues. And remember that it is a imaginary, a fictitious situation. So when we going through this 11 weeks, we can integrate what we have learned through the previous lectures, whatever knowledge on HR communication that we learned through the 13 lectures, we can integrate that knowledge here. So you just signed a contract with the company, but don't have a clear idea about what exactly they want you to do. So in the first week of your contract, what you have to do is to try to understand what they expect of you. What you have to do in these negotiations and what is your role there. So we have to have a brief with the company to clear out all the vagueness with regards to your roles and responsibilities. And being an outside consultant, your role is as an outside consultant, so you are not an employee of the organization, hence you don't have much knowledge about the organization, unfamiliar with the company and particularly its internal politics. And another thing is, as an ethical communication manager, you should explain what you can and you cannot do. Here, you specialize in an organizational communication and new media. Therefore, you should brief the company, the Image Inc. about your area of expertise, what you can do in this operation. So, in the first week, we try to clear out all confusions, all vagueness in the contract. So once you have a clear idea about what is your role, in the second week, we try to understand our organization. So now the Image Inc. is hired you as a consultant to advise on this negotiation with regards to communication aspect, HR communication aspects. So second week we devote to know the client organization. So as per this resource folder, the information about Image Inc. It's a small public relation company based in Matra, and it has clients across Oman and some international clients as well. It just established somewhat around 5 years ago and has a national reputation for innovation and imaginative works in the field of corporate public relations. So this is a brief about the company. It is set up by two brothers who educated in UK and US, and they are eager to ensure that they maintain a working environment that places high priority on creativity, freedom of self-expression and novelty in thought. And another aspect is with regards to the organization is they value people. The organization value people and believe that it is people who make success in public relations. We have studied what makes the with regards to strategic HR and what makes the competitive advantage. So same thing here. They believes in the people and the people who makes success in public relations. Here in this organization, there are 34 employees at present working in different roles, including creative co-directors, managing director, financial director is there, art director is there, copywriter, so and so. So a formal analysis is enough. A cultural web analysis we have studied in the previous lecture. What is cultural web analysis? Developed by Kevin Scholes and Jerry Johnson. So some of the features with regards to Image Inc.'s culture is free of flow of information. Flexibility is there. And normally general lack of control is there. Employees are free to work. There is not much control. And the layout, the structure of the organization. The physical layout is socio-petal layout. We have seen that, studied what is socio-petal, where there is no such, because the employees can arrangement so that everyone can see each other. The layout, the sitting layout is such a way, not cubicles or particular rooms for each employees. Everyone can see, and that gives a way to an opportunity to interact freely. And all channel network. And the leadership is transformational leadership. So transformational leadership style means in which leaders encourage, inspire and motivate employees and create change that will help grow and shape the future success of the company. And when you study the employees in the organization, there is a cook, and she acts as an opinion leader in the organization. She knows what is happening in the organization and provides moral support, because most of the meetings are held at the canteen where the cook will be present, and she hears what the discussions are going on there. So here in this organization where there is general lack of control and free flow of information, where the cook, we know that the normally in a office the position of a cook, here the cook act as an opinion leader, means bit influential in the organization. So once you study your company, second, next on week 3, you have to study the other company. Here the RPR is the other company in this merging process. The managing director gives you a brief about the RPR company. Its head office is near Nizwa. There are around 135 employees works there. Just compare that in Images Inc. There are only 34 employees, whereas RPR having 135 employees. And it's a bigger company than Images Inc., which have a total income. The RPR has a total income around 2.1 million business, whereas Images Inc. has just only 749,000 Riyal a year. So to study the organization, sometimes you suggest that it may be worthwhile for you to visit the RPR, which is headquarters in Nizwa, and talk to the people there about their vision of the proposed merger. Of course, when the managing director of Image Inc., when they hear about this proposed visit, they will be bit skeptical, doubtful about your loyalty. Your loyalty here is questioned, because why should you visit the other organization? Because you are appointed as a consultant for Image Inc. So you have to convince them, convince the Image Inc. about the importance of studying, understanding the aspects with regards to the company that we are going to merge with. So if you are an experienced consultant, you have to foresee this issue. So while signing the contract with the company, that Image Inc., you have to clearly set the responsibilities should be set out in terms of the contract, that you have to mention that this visit is very important and worthwhile. So when you suggest that visiting that other company, And when the managing director of Image Inc. raises these doubts or suspicion, that is a warning hint that there are certain problems, because both companies are a bit distrustful of each other. So that is a warning sign that in the coming weeks, there will be some issues may arise because of this distrust between these companies. So when you propose the visit, the managing director sometimes doubt. They may ask whether you have ever done any work for this Arab PR company previously. So you have to clear out that doubt and disclose the names of your previous clients. So when you study both companies, you can identify that both companies have loads of differences, including different organization structures as well. So Image Inc. is more flexible, more what I say, free and very informal way of working, whereas Arab PR company, it's a larger company having more international clients, work more formally, a more systematic way, and the communication of Arab PR use mostly more impersonal methods such as emails, letters, etc. So the work culture itself is totally different in both organizations. So you have to brief your organization that what should be. You could also have insisted to know how they plan to restructure the new merged organization. So when these two organizations having two different organization structures merge together, you have to have a clear idea about what they are planning with regards to restructure, how they restructure this new merged organization. So in that aspect, when clarifying these things, you must be assertive in finding answers. As a consultant, outside consultant, your role is here how to plan and manage the communication during the merger for the Image Inc. company. So in the fourth week, the managing director of the Image Inc. company may request you to attend a session on team briefing. In that briefing, the top employees of Image Inc. company will attend, where you have to explain about the merging. So the purpose of this session, this briefing session, is to examine the team briefing system used by the other company, the Arab PR. And we know that Arab PR is implementing an advanced knowledge management system. They have a good data management tools to store the knowledge, and they have a knowledge repository. And they designed to encourage formal communication and stop any rumors during the time of change. So everything is explained in that resource folder. Please go through that. In brief, the Arab PR, their management system, they follows very standard format, very formal and systematic management system. Whereas as we know that Image Inc. is following a very informal, not at all systematic. So when you brief about the management system of Arab PR to the employees of Image Inc., there will be some resistance. Because as we know, a merger needs change. It is not possible to continue the same practices of your organization. When you merge with another organization having a totally different work culture and work structure. So a change is needed. Of course, when change comes, definitely there will be resistance from the side of the employees. So this unpreparedness uh, to accept the change leads to resistance. So when you explain the system of RFP, definitely there will be, doubts or what I say, uh, concerns from the side of the different employees. There will be account manager, they have their own concerns. The financial director, they have their own issues. And of course, the managing director, does not understand really the system, clearly what the system is. So you have to explain how the system of RFPR works, especially to the managing director of Image Inc. And to solve that, these concerns, this resistance, to overcome this resistance, you have to convince them, to convince the employees about the change and the importance of change. You have to explore the reasons for the resistance. Why the employees resist for such changes. So you have to understand the reasons behind that first. Then only you can come up with the solutions and manage that conflict. For example, here in Image Inc. company, the account manager, we know that an PR account manager is typically responsible for managing a portfolio clients and promoting them to their target audience. It's an influencer of public opinion through different, he used different PR tools for that. So here in your this organization, the Image Inc., the accounts manager, since it is working in a very flexible thing, they don't have much a systematic way of practicing. He may not be familiar, he may not be used with such kind of a systematic, very formal way of working. He definitely prefer to continue that very informal, very flexible way of working. So you have to convince him about the need of this kind of changes. So get suggestions for how to change the system. So in this week 5, you were involved in a strategic planning meeting at the company, the Images Inc., and you tried to communicate your concerns regarding the difference between Images Inc. and RFPR, especially during this merger. And you also pointed out that they need to take care not to be submerged into RFPR's culture if the merger goes ahead. But all these concerns with regard to merging will not be valued. Your opinion is not valued when you discuss, when you try to point out these kind of issues, because the employees will be much more concerned about what benefit they are getting out of this merger. So to impress them, you have to be more proactive and assertive, and also the prior relationship, building prior relationship with the employees, also helpful to convince them about these concerns. As you know, employees will not be much concerned about the serious implications of the merger. Normally they will be concerned about the benefit they are getting out of the merger, or how it is going to affect them. So as I told you, the proactive and assertive approach and building prior relationship with the employees are two options to convince the employees. And some other steps also to take. One is with regards to the sending emails. So in the course that resource folder, you can see emails sent by the secretary to all staff with regards to the proposed merger. So that is not at all professional and having lots of what I say problems with that. So first thing, a policy for the use of emails is needed. So here in the folder that the email, the copy of that email is there. It shows that in that objective of the merger, it mentions to keep having fun as one of the objective. We know that it is not at all professional to include in such a email. As well, you can see that the expected problems in which it is written putting a bit of life into the suits at RFPR. Actually, this comment is a disrespectful and likely to damage the relationship with the RFPR company. So such kind of immature comments should be avoided while sending emails. So the emails should be professional and serious as it is recorded especially. Another steps we can take, advocate the importance of computerization at the next meeting, because Image Ink is following very impersonal, very flexible thing. Instead of that, the importance of computerization to work in a professional environment, you have to propose in the next meeting. Then another steps to take is set up a training session with all staff about the computerized system RFPR is planning to use at Image Ink's offices. So you can use one of RFPR's more personable staff members for that. Then negotiate adapting the system. Negotiate with RFPR the possibility of adapting the system to Image Ink's needs and working practices. And lastly, arrange a focus group between the creative personnel at RFPR and Image Ink to have them discuss ways of working and focusing on what works best. So by week 6, normally the organizational politics coming into play. We know that in organization there are different people having different interest. So at the time of merging, everyone, there are different departments, each one try to make the merging as per their convenience. So they try to influence you. Here for example, the financial director and office manager of Image Ink company, they may be supportive of such a communication system at the RFPR. So they want something more, what I say, may ask you for support in backing their suggestions that Image Ink must improve the control procedures. Because if such a control procedure is there, that may help or make it easier their work. So in same way, different people, different department will have their own likes and dislikes. So they may try to influence you. But as an outside consultant, you have to be objective. You must remain aware of these kind of power structures within the organization and should behave objective, to remain objective and neutral. Then only you can point out the weakness and advantages of both the systems. So here in this case, with regards to Image Ink, Image Ink's lack of systematic recording. They don't have a systematic recording system. That makes it difficult for anyone else to get insight into their processes. So that's a weakness. Whereas their approach to ask what a person prefers, what an employee prefers when they first join and what they are good at, it leaves little room for growth for personal professional development. Whereas when we go through the Arab PR companies term policies and working culture, you can see the Arab PR system provides consistency, a consistency that uh, ensure more effective performance. So here in this example, the image in companies lack of systematic recording and not much chance for professional development are two weakness. It has to be avoided when at the time of or at the time of the merger. So professional development is needed, consistency is needed, and of course organizational development is also needed. And we should have a good conflict management skills as well, because you know that in that when you go through the resource folder that during the meeting when something when you didn't mention about the idea of or when you don't raise the idea of that office manager showing his displeasure, he leaves the meeting. That is shows some kind of displeasure. So that further creates or aggravate the situation, creates more conflict. So we have to manage such kind of conflict management, especially during this negotiations stage. So by week 7 we see lots of conflicts, difference in opinions between these two companies, and hence the merger seems to be in danger, in question, because the two companies representatives, they cannot agree on anything, each of them having different opinion. So a lack of relationship building and trust is now evolving, and that may sometimes causing breakdown in relationship. Of course, we know that a merger implies change for both organizations. There must be change because it is not possible to completely adopt one organization's working style. So when merge two organizations together, there must be, we have to find a middle point. Some change from both sides is essential hence. Yet there seems to be here in this case, the imaging, for example, will adopt all of Arab PR's processes and systems. Such a general assumptions may emerge because Arab PR, as we know, that is more systematic, more professional, and a larger organization than imaging. And the risk is that the smaller company imaging culture will be absorbed completely by Arab PR's more traditional and business-like culture. So we have to, decide on the scope of change. How much change can the organization manage? What should change and what can you keep the same? Or how will you convince them to change? Is there any middle ground? So these kind of, differences emerge. As we know that, suppose for example, with regards to the course resources folder, you can see that differences on many aspects with regards to setting up a building. As we know that Image Inc. is following a socio-petal structure, whereas Arab PR is following a socio-fugal, means something like cubicles. So on many aspects with regards to every aspect of the working style, working culture, these differences emerges and that has to be resolved. So you will need to brainstorm options to resolve these kind of issues and find out alternative solutions with the staff members. In that way, they can also feel they are truly participating in the process of change. You can ask the employees what are the alternative solutions. So sometimes the employees may have the solution to solve these kind of issues. And when you accept, when you listen to them, definitely they will have a trust on the process. So when both parties stick on with their own demands, their own conditions, definitely lack of trust becoming a major problem. Both look at each other with a doubt. So why this lack of trust emerge? Part of this problem is that the reason for the merger are not openly discussed. So why we are going for a merger? There are certain reasons that is not actually openly discussed at the meetings. So here in the case study, you can see that the managing director of RPR are the coordinators of Image Inc. decided to set up a series of merger task forces. Different task forces set up by both companies. So the employees, the key persons of these two companies will be there as members, and the role of this task force is to make recommendations on matters relating to the merger. Here as well, because the employees in that task force are from these two different companies, since they are not openly discussed about the strategies, about the reasons, that creates this lack of trust. So there is no transparent communication and not enough communication between these groups. That is the reason why this kind of lack of trust. The actions of this task force again aggravate the situation, and the employees are already suspicious of the changes being imposed on them. So to gain support from employees for change, we must consult with the employees to regain the trust. So since the management is inexperienced in managing the conflict, as I told you, they constitute certain task force. This task force in a way actually, create more complications further. So before, the merger going to break up, we have to find a solution. So you as a consultant here have to act as a mentor and counselor to solve this issue. So you have to convince the co-directors and managers to talk to all staff. So holding staff meeting, of course, having lots of positive results. So in the staff meeting, you should explain the purpose of the merger to the staff members and make it clear that the merger will go ahead anyway. Also reassure employees of their future roles and importance. And you have to ask employees for solutions on how to ensure that the core culture of Image Inc. will be maintained, seeking solutions from their side so that you allow employees to voice their concerns and answer the employees' questions as best as they can. Also clear out all the uh, issues or the uncertainties among the employees. So holding a staff meeting, be transparent, be open, listen to their concerns, answer to their queries, and consider their suggestions. These are some of the ways to clear out these issues. So in the 9th week, the finance and system task has had its first meeting at the Arapia's office, where the information system manager of Arapia company explains about the new computer facilities at their office. And here in this case study, you can see that during this tour, the Imaging's financial director leaves, disappears to have some chat with some others. So that meeting, everyone agrees on the standardization of hardware and choice of software packages. However, the two companies disagree about the way that system should be implemented. Images Inc. company insists that they prefer to use systems of up to a common sense of individual stuff, means more flexible, fairly loose arrangement. Whereas Arab PR management, they insist that Image Inc. should tighten up its administrative procedures, particularly in the areas of staff reporting. Means some kind of conflict emerges in that meeting. So some disagreement between these two companies arises about how the system should operate and which reports they should produce. So when both companies stick on with their own demands, these control issues emerge. Here in this case, Image Inc. company, they suggest to recruit casual staff in case of emergency situations when extra things needed. But at the same time, the Arab PR company counter it, saying as this will be a serious security threat, because recruiting casual laborers from outside may pose security threat. So they disagree not only about what the system should do, but dislike subjecting themselves to other sides, processes and systems, criticizing each other. That also again creates conflict, and relationship is about to break down. So conflict management and relationship building activities hence absolutely crucial here in this situation. Without this, the merger is unlikely to go ahead. So how can we manage the conflict? The activities like team building exercise can be applied, like such as a weekend away, to patch up this conflict. And as I told you before, the behavior of the financial director who left the meeting, or who left that briefing of the information manager of Arab PRT. So that is actually a kind of uncultured behavior. So the financial director of Images Inc. disappeared during the tour. This is unprofessional, and you should reprimand, you should express your disapproval or displeasure on this action, because this kind of actions, not respecting others, definitely will lead to break down such a relationship. So when the disagreement increases and the gap expands between the companies in all areas, the steering committee direct the task force to look at a human resource management systems across the two companies. Actually, this is seemingly uncontroversial area, human resource management, which deals with payroll, personal work, contracts, promotions, leave, benefits, etc. Actually, the human resource systems, which the managers think most neutral, is the area that truly reflects an organization's culture and people management, and hence it's not at all neutral. We can understand the issues when we discuss this human resource management. The human resource system reflects how much the company value its people. It needs equitable systems and systems to manage diversity. The organizations that value their staff put in place equitable systems that treat everyone fairly and according to their diverse needs. See here, the imaging companies practices, HR practices, when you go through, it seems very fair and equitable at first glance. They try to manage diversity. However, when we look closer, when you go through that resource folder, you can see that it's clear that the company is not as diverse as they would like to believe. Please refer for details about the HR policies of both companies, Images Inc. and RPR. Refer the resource folder where it explains with very details. So for imaging company, you can see that when you go through their HR practices, it leads to lack of consistency and therefore lack of fairness. For example, no record is kept about leave taken, which can result in one staff member taking considerable more leave than other. Means this can cause friction and dissatisfaction with the workplace, and it is also illegal because the labor law states that every organization must keep a file on every staff member and record their sick leave taken, remuneration, and so forth. So you as a consultant have to point out these aspects of labor law which requires to document every aspect every aspect of the staff, to keep a file on every staff member and record their sick leave, remuneration, salary, etc., and convince your client about the importance of maintaining such a document, which is not there in the Image Inc.'s HR practices. Another aspect is the performance appraisals. If used appropriately, it can provide employees with learning opportunities and identify areas for growth and training. What area they need to develop, such kind of professional development programs can be planned and thus to improve their productivity. So performance appraisals allow identify areas for growth and further training. In that sense, RPR is more responsible. They are reasonable in demanding fair and equitable practices. But the demanding computer-based systems, as RPR demands, it appears to be unreasonable because computer-based systems do not produce equitable practices. So have to develop a HR policy. Instead of that computer-based system, we need a policy, HR policy, that ensures equity and fairness. So as a consultant, you will need to communicate a different view of computerization and the knowledge organization to RPR. Perhaps ask a knowledgeable and a respected person to explain to their management the benefits of allowing staff to telecommute and work from home. You just think of suppose how the employees now feel to work from home during the COVID-19 period, the coronavirus period. What will be their mind if they are asked to come to office? So ideally, your report should lay out the benefits of developing principles for effective human resource management and should rules should be flexible to allow for differences and equity. Furthermore, the new knowledge management system should include collaborative technologies that promote work together as a team that allows employees to work off-site. So now at the end, it is the team building. Both companies need to decide how they will proceed with the merger. It's not only our company Images Inc. that is affected by the merger. Of course, Arab PR company also going to affect. Once they decide, you must develop a strategy to support the decision. So you arrange for the senior management of both companies and union representatives from Arab PR to go away for a weekend strategy retreat, and in that retreat some series of decisions can be taken. The following options are discussed there. One is to seek to optimize the strategic gain of the merger for both Images Inc. and Arab PR. You can also decide on possible strategic alliance with minimal changes. Third option is open competition in the international marketplace. And lastly, delay the merger until such a time when some of the organizational differences can be negotiated and worked